What is up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and hello if you are new. I am going to be finally filming the second part of my Q&A today. So I asked my Instagram followers again to send in some questions yesterday, but I'm also going to look at some of the questions that I didn't answer last time, and we're going to dive right into them. Please excuse my appearance, I've literally just come back from a dog walk, but I thought if I don't film this video now, I never will. So it's happening. I have not planned any answers. I'm just going to look at them as I see them and just answer them honestly. We'll see what comes out. So keep watching if you want to find out a little bit more about me. I think there's quite a lot of fitness questions, questions about food, like my relationship with food, loads of stuff. So let's get into the video. So I got this question quite a lot actually. It's whether I track calories or macros. So the simple answer is yes, I do track. I use MyFitnessPal, but I only do it in a very, okay, stress on very loose way. So I will often go days of not doing it, and I'll go days of doing it consistently. But it's more so for me to understand what I'm eating, how I'm fueling my body. And I do find, like, my little sciencey brain likes to see that I'm eating enough protein, I'm eating enough fats, eating enough carbohydrates. For me, it's about eating enough and getting the right nutrients, and I find that tracking my food does help with that, so I do it. But having said that, I don't have any calorie goal, I don't have any macro targets, I've never tracked macros, I've never done the whole like, oh, today I have to eat 120 grams of protein. I just eat what I want to eat, and then at the end of the day usually, or kind of like in the later half of the day, I'll put things in if I feel like it, and yeah, then I know, oh, maybe I'll have more protein in my dinner, stuff like that. So that was quite a long-winded answer. I do track, but I also don't. And I'll often go, if I'm going out to eat, for example, I'm not gonna sit there and track everything that I've eaten. Just like, I don't want to live that kind of life. Once upon a time, I used to track absolutely religiously everything that I ate to the gram. I would weigh things out, and it's just, it's not sustainable. It's not the way that I want to live for years to come, so I don't see the point in doing it. Yeah. Next question is, do I get bloated from protein bars? I actually don't, you know, and if I did, I probably wouldn't eat them. I have maybe 1 or 2 a day, and I don't get any bloating from them, so that's why I still have them. How often do I do cardio? I'm probably going to disappoint quite a lot of you, but I don't have any fitness routine. I don't have any like set thing that I do every week, like, oh, I've not done enough sessions. It very just depends on how my body's feeling, how I'm feeling. I'm quite intuitive now. I definitely used to do like I do a 5 days a week, and then I would fit those sessions in. But I've got to a point now where I've been training for, you know, 4 or 5 years, that I don't feel like I need to have that structure anymore. I just go if I feel like, number one, I want to go, and number two, that my body feels good for me to go and train. Actually, I guess I'm more answering how often do I train a week. Cardio kind of comes into the same thing. Like, if I fancy a run, I'll go for a run. If I don't fancy a run, I'm not gonna go for a run. I do love exercise. I love how it makes me feel. I love how it makes my day feel quite structured, productive. It clears my head. It's good for my anxiety, good for my mental health. So I am quite active, though I don't really have an answer to that question, because I can go through a week without doing any, or I can go for 2 runs a week. But I don't, in the gym, I don't do any cardio. I'll try and keep it on a fitness theme for now, and then we can move on to some other questions. What is my training split? So I do have a training split, even though I don't have a set amount of times that I train a week. So I do a push-pull legs. On a pull session, you do back and biceps with deadlifts as the compound move. On push, I do shoulders, chest and triceps, and I usually do bench and shoulder press as my compound moves. And then, so I go push legs, pull legs. On the first leg day, I do it quite quad dominant, and then on the second leg day, I do it quite glute and hamstring dominant. So I hope that helps. what is the furthest I've ever run? So fun fact, I did actually used to be quite into running, and I'm not so much anymore. I'm very, very good at running because my physique is quite built for it. I'm quite an athletic build. My dad's a runner and I've got long legs, so I'm good at running. I just don't enjoy it, so I don't do it as much as I should. But I've done a half marathon. I think I've done 3 or 4 half marathons with very little training, which is quite bad. But again, my body just adapts quite quickly to that type of cardio, but I don't enjoy it. So I prefer weightlifting, so I go to the gym and weightlift instead. What are my current health and fitness goals? So at the moment, I don't have a set goal. Over the time that I was doing my exams, I worked with a fitness coach who was absolutely amazing. I'm going to leave her out on the screen, so if you're looking for a coach, very, very recommend Elena. She is amazing. And we worked together. She put me on a plan, especially whilst the gyms were closed. It was really, really nice to follow a plan. And I said to her whilst I was doing my exams, I didn't want to be in a calorie deficit, and we both agreed that actually being in a surplus would aid both my training and my exams. So I kind of did this calorie surplus bulk phase. I'm going to give a potential trigger warning. I will mention weight in a second, so if you're affected at all by mentions of weights, just skip forward a few minutes in this video. Last warning. Okay, so whilst I was doing my bulk, I gained about 3 kilos over the lockdown period, and since I've stopped having a goal in essence, my body's just kind of naturally come back to its set weight. Because I am quite naturally lean, my body doesn't need as much food as I was giving it. So when I started eating normally and more intuitively and not striving to eat in that calorie surplus every single day, I naturally just lost a bit of weight, but I'm still training. So I'm quite actually happy with where I am at the moment, but I do want to get stronger now that the gyms are open. So I probably will do another building phase at some point soon. Advice for people who have a hard time putting on muscle. Girl, I hear you. I am an ectomorph. Through and through, I think that's the right one. I'm a lean runner bean that does not put on muscle, and I'm so jealous because my mum gains muscle like there's no tomorrow, but I just don't have her genetics. So I feel you. The key is calorie surplus, lifting consistently, eating to fuel your workouts consistently. It's genuinely just consistency and time. So you're talking years, not weeks or months. How long do I work out for? Again, this is the same as like the cardio question. How long is a piece of string? I don't know. I will sometimes go in and be there for 20 minutes, half an hour. I will sometimes go in and have a really good time and just be having fun and stay for an hour and a half. I think I've once been for like 2 hours before, which, yeah, I was having a good time, so I wasn't going to stop. Actually, I'm going to answer a couple of food questions. I got quite a lot of questions about my relationship with food and whether I've ever had an eating disorder, and I haven't ever had an eating disorder, but I definitely have had a problematic relationship with food without realising it, if that makes sense. So just from media, diet culture, being told that women were always supposed to be skinny and, you know, eat less than men, and all of these kind of toxic messages that I was fed growing up as a teenager obviously played a part. And so I have in the past like struggled with food in that sense, you know, like restricting, thinking, oh, I'm going out for dinner, I'm not going to eat a lot. And at a stage when I was at university, when I was doing CrossFit, I was obviously burning so many calories, but I didn't adjust my diet accordingly, and I ended up losing quite a lot of weight. So I got super small, and I didn't look healthy. It wasn't healthy for my insides, for my hormones, anything like that. So that's kind of, I don't know if anyone followed me on Instagram at that time, but that's when I started my weight gain journey, when I got to too small from not fueling my body properly without just the proper knowledge about it. And that's also when I fell in love with nutrition and cooking and trying to nourish my body. So I guess some good did come out of it, but yeah. And then I think following on from that question, I got another one about how I am so free with what I eat and how I eat intuitively. And I think that genuinely just comes from accepting that our bodies are just skin. There is more to life than having abs. There's more to life than having chiseled muscles and always trying to look different to how we look. And I think for such a long time, especially at university, I went through this kind of gym bunny stage where I just wanted to look fit and fit myself into that like fitness category. And as an influencer and kind of building my following off of that, I think in my head, I thought that if I didn't look like that, then people wouldn't like want to listen to what I said, which was really, really stupid to think about now. But yeah, I guess that was one of the considerations that I used to have, and that's when I wasn't as free with food as I am now. And now I've just accepted that my body will do what it needs to do. If I wake up one morning and I'm more hungry than another day, I'll eat more because my body obviously needs more food. I've got to this happy medium where I feel like both me and my body are quite in tune, that I don't really need to track anymore. I don't really need to look at what I'm eating to a large extent. I can just do it and trust my body. So with anyone struggling with this kind of food freedom thing, I think just take a step back and think, I'm beautiful as I am, my body knows what it's doing, I'm gonna listen to it, and fuel yourself with nutrient-dense, tasty food. And the more you restrict yourself, the more likely you are to go the absolute opposite way. And that's what I think leads to food freedom, is by not restricting. What is the most expensive food I've ever eaten? I had black cod once and it was a disgusting amount of money, but it was so good. Loads of questions again about whether I have a boyfriend, whether I'm in a relationship. Nope guys, still single. What is my current relationship with meat? Am I a full-time vegan? So if you don't know, no, I'm not vegan. I do eat meat now. I actually gave up eating meat 2 years ago and I went pescatarian for about 1.5 years, and unfortunately I was very, very ill from it during that time because I was told that I can't absorb plant-based iron by the doctors. My ferritin levels got extremely, extremely low, and that's like your stored iron levels. And I lost half of my hair. So I've talked about my hair loss journey on my Instagram before. Basically, about 3 years ago, my hair started falling out, and it was from, I mean, it wasn't just the iron, it was from so many different factors. Dieting as well was a major one. Not fueling my body properly, not nutrient-dense food, and the low iron. So a lot of my hair fell out, and I think that was the trigger point. So I did reintroduce meat into my diet. I started craving red meat like mental. So cravings were just getting so bad, and it was obviously my body telling me that it needed the hemoglobin, and I wasn't listening to it. And so I just, one day I came home at midday, I think it was all at 11 in the morning, and I just said, I need a steak now, and made my dad go to the shops, buy a steak, and I sat there and I ate it, and it was horrible because I felt like I'd failed, but at the same time it was just the best thing for my body, and ever since I feel so much healthier eating meat. So yeah, I do eat meat, but I also love vegan food and vegetarian food and pescatarian food. So I'd say that I'm probably 70 to 80% vegetarian and then meat kind of the rest of the time. How did you become so confident about yourself? Oh hun, I'm still working on it. I probably give off quite a confident front, but I'm really not confident at all. I have a lot of self-doubt. I struggle a lot with imposter syndrome, especially with like my law. I don't know, I always just feel not as good as everyone else, and that's something that I'm working on and have been working on for a really long time, and I definitely am improving, but it's just something that you have to work on, I think, and love yourself. As hard as it is sometimes. I won't go too much into law questions, but I did get a couple about law. So if I wasn't going to be a lawyer, what job would I do? I feel like that is the worst question to ask, because growing up I wanted to be everything. Like 1 week I wanted to be an astronaut. Actually, to be fair, I wanted to be an astronaut for a good chunk of my childhood. That was the dream. I was obsessed with space. I still am. I used to read about it in my spare time. I used to know everything about spaces. And then I also was very, very, very close to doing medicine at university, but I ended up not taking science A-levels at the last minute because I decided not to, and then I only really started pursuing law after I did work experience at a law firm, and then I fell in love with it that way. I love food and I love my Instagram and everything like that, but there's a part of me that is a massive academic, so I think I would still want to do quite an academic job and then have like my creative thing on the side, which is what I plan to do when I start law. So yeah. If I could only choose one food to eat for the rest of my life, what would it be? Oats, obviously. Pizza? Pasta? Oats? Rice? I don't know. That's tough. Something carby, for sure. Why do you put ketchup on pasta? Look, you stop judging me about my ketchup consumption. It's not gonna go away. I love it. I'm addicted to it. And I'm gonna be sat as a lawyer at these like fancy lunches, fancy dinners that my firm takes me out in London, and I'm gonna be wining and dining clients, and I'm gonna be like, do you have ketchup? And it's gonna ruin my career, but it's fine. Ketchup is life. I'm gonna make this the last question because it's getting dark, I'm getting hungry, and I don't have a third reason, but I've probably been waffling for fucking ages, and Emma, who's editing this, is pissed off at me right now, so okay, so the last question is going to be a fun food one. So what would my death row meal be? I got asked this a while ago actually, and I think I remember what I said. So I said, for starters, I would have a full English breakfast, so like the works. And I think for mains, I would have a Domino's pizza with one of the big garlic dips, garlic bread on the side, and maybe if I had room, McDonald's chips, because I think I would need those. For dessert, if I hypothetically still had room in my stomach after all of that, I would probably have a yog bowl. So my favourite desserts are chocolate fondant and New York cheesecake, so I would probably have those as well. Yeah. Okay, so that was a probably not so quick fire Q&A. I'll probably try and do one of these like once a month, just so I can keep answering questions and you can get to know me a little bit more if you would like to. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that gives you a little bit more of an insight into me and what I'm about and my kind of take on some things. We'll see you in the next video. I'm gonna try and stick to a more regular YouTube upload so you can figure out when to expect a video from me. At the moment, the plan is every Sunday, potentially Thursday as like a bonus video if I get the time, but I'm starting my law degree in 2 weeks time, so I'm not gonna promise anything. Okay, I'm actually gonna go now. Like and subscribe. Yeah, bye.